Well, a big welcome to everyone, whether you're joining us live or if you're watching our recording on YouTube. We're very glad to have you here, and we are so excited to share with you this fabulous itinerary visiting Bordeaux on Avalon Waterways. We are Suzanne and Steve Klasen. We are the owners of CruiseOne in Shoalo, Arizona. So what we're going to do tonight, we're going to talk to you really quickly about our travel agency. We're going to discover Avalon and the new adventures that await. And we're going to talk, and this is the wrong slide, so I'm going to skip that slide and just go right into Bordeaux. We do have a cruise that is on the Rhine next year, but this presentation is definitely about Bordeaux. Okay, so just to tell you a little bit about my agency, so whether you found us maybe through advertising or referred by friends or you know me, I want you to feel comfortable booking with us. We are completely have your back. We work for our clients. We just get paid by the cruise lines. We've been doing this for 12 years, and we are very passionate about travel. And we understand how important it is to have that inside knowledge to give you special little tips when you're traveling. Our travels are not only an investment in our clients because we want to bring that firsthand knowledge to experience, but we also use it to tailor exceptional vacations that exceed your expectations. We're very lucky with the internet the way it is now on cruise ships. We are able to run our business from anywhere in the world, and that's why we are able to escort so many of our groups along the way. We love our wine group. This is one of the specialties that we have done since we first opened our travel agency. We do friends and family groups, but escorting the wine groups, because Steve and I are also very passionate wine drinkers, is a great chance for us to share our little knowledge of wine, discuss ideas, grow our knowledge of wine, and have that wonderful experience. This picture over here on the bottom right is our Vino Verde girls. They were all our girls that like to drink the Portuguese, really wonderful white wine that they make in Portugal. I am an Avalon Waterways certified specialist, and I also am certified in two of their other brands, which is Globus and Cosmos, which you may have heard of. I like to say this: quality partners equals a quality experience, and quality is in the heart of everything we do. You may not have heard of Avalon Waterways, but one of the reasons that we have partnered with them is just how exceptional they are in that niche of the river cruise industry. They have been named the Reader's Choice Award by USA Today, and they are a top pick by the cruise critic readers. Here's just some of the inclusions that you get with a river cruise. You get 3 meals a day. You get a wonderful selection of international wine complimentary with lunch and dinner. You get a choice of included excursions in most ports. And notice the word included. So you are not having to do the set tour and then pay extra for something else. Most of the ports have at least 2 included excursions. There is a daily happy hour, and that's the hour before dinner from 6 to 7 when your cruise manager is coming to tell you about everything that's going to go on the cruise. And they give you complimentary wine, champagne, beer, and they usually have a couple mixed drinks of the day. They have the largest standard accommodations. I have a whole section of it to talk about how big their rooms are and how lovely they are. And of course, you have things like daily housekeeping, a tour manager, and local export guides. So instead of me telling you about how wonderful Avalon Waterways, how about if we get actor Graham McTavish to tell us a little bit about Avalon?
There may be comfort in the usual, but true discovery and remarkable experiences are the rewards for the curious. They are the gifts that reside beyond the ordinary. Welcome aboard Avalon. Smaller ships, bigger experiences, fewer people, more of everything, right at your fingertips. And you wake up in the best staterooms in the business, to a new port every day, right in the heart of great cities, with nothing but possibilities ahead. Driven by out-of-the-box thinking and a relentless pursuit of better, Avalon heard the siren song to elevate cruising, and they have. So if you believe that life is worth living, not looking, Memories are worth making. The better stories need better settings. And that we could all use a little different. You're ready for an Avalon cruise. Cruising elevated.
Well, I hope that we can all go to Bordeaux together and come away with some of those better stories in the better setting, because Bordeaux is an absolutely wonderful place to visit. I visited with my friend Carol, who owns a winery here in Arizona, about 7 years ago. We had the most amazing time. And ever since that happened, I've been wanting to go back with my husband because he loves Bordeaux wine just as much as I do. And so we finally put this together and we're so excited. But let's talk about what makes Bordeaux such a great wine region. So maybe you've heard of some of these areas, and it can be a little overwhelming because there's so many. There's the Medoc, there's Hot Medoc, there's Saint Emilion, there's Pauillac, there's Saint Julien. I mean, all of these you've heard and you've seen them on those fancy wine bottle labels. Well, this trip is going to give us that chance to visit these places and actually put a meaning, an experience with what we see on that label, so that next time you go in a wine store and you see that the wine is from St. Julien, you can say, oh, that was from that day when we did this. So that's the fun of going to Bordeaux, is having that chance to have that immersive experience in that wine culture, and then take it with you for the rest of your life, where you'll be able to go into a wine store, a specialty store, a grocery store, and find some wines that will recall those memories that we're going to create there. Now, I'm going to give a brief history of Bordeaux. I don't want to go into this too much, but how did Bordeaux become the most renowned wine region in the world? And a lot of it has to do with political connections. This is the history. Eleanor of Aquitaine, and you'll hear her name referenced in many of the places that we're going to be visiting. She was married to the King of England and brought Bordeaux under English rule. And this led to them exporting wine to England. Then there was the Dutch influence. So Dutch traders played a vital role in this area. It was extremely marshy. And what did the Dutch know how to do better than anybody else? Drain marshes and make them farmable land. So they helped to dry out those marshes so that grapes could be planted in Bordeaux. And then, after a long history of very good winemaking, Bordeaux decided to make it official. And in 1855, they created all these classifications that would guarantee the quality of wine, so that if someone was buying from some other country and they say on the label that it was this classification, they would know that they are getting the finest wine from this region of Bordeaux. So those things all helped with getting Bordeaux really on the map, or on the center of the map, when it comes to wine. Now, here's some of the areas. I'm not going to go into this too much, but you've got your left bank and your between the rivers, or entrée de mer, and then you've got your right bank. And there's different famous wine regions that you'll recognize the names on when you're looking at this map between those different regions. Bordeaux is known for 5 noble grapes, and you've probably heard a lot of these. They are planted all around the world, but of course, one of the best places they grow is Bordeaux. Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Merlot, Petit Verdot, Malbec. We have a very good friend that is a winemaker in Paso Robles, California, and he makes a blended wine. He calls it his Bordeaux style blend. And it includes all 5 of those grapes in different blending concentration. Now, you'll see Caminere, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, a lot in South America, but it is actually a 6th grape that is permitted in Bordeaux, but not used very often. And then you have your white grapes of Bordeaux. So, of course, all of this is going to mean so much more when you're there in Bordeaux and you're in the regions and you're looking at the map and you know where you are. But the white grapes of Bordeaux are going to be a Semillon, a Sauvignon Blanc, and a Muscadel. And most of them are typically blends. There are other permitted grapes like Sauvignon Gris, Colombard, Merlot Blanc, but the ones you see up at the top are the main ones. And of course, we know that those grapes are grown around the world, but there truly is something special about the ones that are produced in Bordeaux. So a little bit more of a drill down. This is probably my favorite section of Bordeaux. And it's interesting because the grape variety is mostly Merlot in this area, with a little bit Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon. And somehow that just makes to me like the most wonderful taste. Pomerol, of course, is world renowned. Been privileged to have a couple Pomerols, and they are absolutely fantastic. But its a little bit less expensive sister is Saint Emilion. And we just love some of the grapes from the Saint Emilion, some of the wines from Saint Emilion. And it's actually a really quaint little town to visit. Now, when you talk about the between the seas is actually the real translation. That's going to be in this area. And this is where you're going to have a balance of red and white. Some of my favorite whites come from here, particularly Cadillac or what's the other one? Sauternes comes from this area. And then we go to the Medoc and the hot Medoc and Margaux. And again, these are known as the left bank wines. The region itself it's actually what surrounds the city of Bordeaux. There's Graves is also in this area. As with the Medoc, Cabernet Sauvignon is going to be your predominant grape here. And it's going to be used in somewhat greater proportion of more Merlot than what's typically used in a blend. Smaller amounts of Cabernet on the other ones. So it's just basically a different style in this area. And it's probably the way that the ocean and the wind and the climate affects the way the grapes grow. And then you've got Graves and Sauternes. And this is one of my favorite dessert wine is Sauternes. And Graves makes some beautiful dry white wines. So you get a mix of both in this area, and they're absolutely delicious. So let's take a look at our itinerary. So 7-night Bonjour Bordeaux, Chateaux, Wineries, Charming Villages. We still have a chance for you to join us, so we'd love to have you come along with us on this cruise. Here is a picture of one of the beautiful downtown areas in Bordeaux. This is actually a fountain that fills up and it makes a reflecting pool. It really is beautiful area. You're going to fly into the city of Bordeaux, and it's pretty easy to get there. There are connecting flights either from Amsterdam or Paris or London that fly directly into the city of Bordeaux. So you just have to get to one of those cities and then fly to Bordeaux. Upon arrival that day, you can join the ship, turn in your luggage, your day is free, then you can get off the ship and go exploring around town. And then we're going to overnight in Bordeaux, and in the morning, we're going to sail out to Cadillac and Sauternes. Now, Cadillac is this beautiful old fortress town with these churches, and very interesting, there's actually a church that the wall of the church is the wall of the fortress as well. And then we'll go out to Sauternes and hopefully have a chance to take in some of the famous dessert wine there. So this is kind of a day where you get to do 2 tours in one in the morning in Cadillac, and then in the afternoon go out to Sauternes. The next day, we're going to head over to the Medoc area of Bordeaux. So the ship will sail, you don't have to worry about schlepping your luggage. You'll have your wonderful meal on board the ship. And then the next day will be in the Medoc. And there's a couple different excursions. There's a bike ride through the vineyards that you can take, or you can do a discovery excursion, which is going to be visiting a historic chateau in the Medoc area and tasting some of their wonderful wines. And isn't that the point of this, is you're getting to go to this area and actually taste the wines where they're made. And again, put that association of this is where this is in the world, and that's what kind of wine I enjoyed there. It makes for a very lifelong experience. Then we're going to head over to the area called Blaye or Berg. And there's a citadel there that we're going to visit. That's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So I always enjoy kind of seeing those amazing fortresses. And there's also an excursion where you can go to a local art gallery and enjoy some wine while you're touring there. And again, we're going to have that Bordeaux experience both on and off the ship. We will have their wines on board, and of course, many chances to try them when we are ashore. And finally, we're going to go to Saint Emilion. This is one of my favorite little cities in the Bordeaux area. This is a wonderful village against all these. It's right next to Pomerol. We'll drive through Pomerol to get there. We'll have a tour, and we'll also get to taste wine while we're there, and also see the couple of the World Heritage sites that are in the area, and get to try that wine in the place that it's made. And that's what's so special about it. The next day, we will actually dock in Bordeaux and get a full city tour. And I have to tell you, there are some beautiful things to be seen in the city of Bordeaux. These are my pictures I took when I was there 7 years ago. There are 5-star restaurants, there are beautiful cathedrals, all kinds of historic sites, beautiful modern artwork, just a little bit of everything. And so we're going to have a chance to see this stunning city, and then we'll overnight in Bordeaux. And then the next day, we're going to go out to Arcachon Bay. And this is a place where we're going to learn about sustainable oyster practices or oyster farming. And I joke, this picture of me up top is me having a great time not eating oysters, because I don't eat oysters. I don't like them. I have eaten them before. I'm like, I don't like them. Why am I eating these? So I don't eat them anymore. But we're going to see this beautiful architecture in this city, this beautiful beach, and again, learn about this sustainable oyster farming that they do there, because there was such a demand in the 18th century for oysters among the rich and the elite that they almost hunted them to extinction. So they had to come up with a new way to harvest and serve oysters. And again, you go on that tour, you do not have to eat a single oyster. And I know I won't be. You can be over next to me eating a cracker and drinking a glass of wine. So that's kind of our itinerary in a nutshell. We go to all the different regions in Bordeaux. There's actually 2 rivers and an estuary that go in that area. So it's a very interesting little river cruise. You don't really go from point A to point B. It's kind of round trip Bordeaux, but every day you're seeing something new and different and getting to explore all of these regions that are the heart of the wine regions in Bordeaux. So this slide that you're looking at now is a picture of the veranda cabins. They are called panoramic, what do they call them, Steve? Panoramic balconies. That's what they call them. So you notice that window opens a full 7 feet wide, and you don't lose room in your cabin to make that room. And I'll show you a little bit more about that. And the reason why this is important is that all river ships that are sailing on a particular river are basically the same size, because they have to fit under the bridges and through the locks. And so if you build a ship that is too wide, you're not going to go anywhere through the locks or anything. So river ships have to be creative in their design to give you more square footage. And I'll show you the solution that Avalon has come up with in this next slide.
The sweet ships of Avalon, designed from the ground up with an attention to detail river cruising has never seen before. There's nothing quite like river cruising no matter who you cruise with, but there are some pretty big differences between companies, starting with how they look at staterooms. And our one-of-a-kind panorama suite is proof of our innovation, our imagination, and our desire to create a smarter use of space. To give you some perspective of how much better our staterooms are, we're comparing them to the average river cruise cabin. Here's the average window, roughly 7 feet wide, with an opening under 4 feet. Here's our window, nearly 11 feet wide, floor to ceiling, wall to wall. And when it opens, it really opens, wide enough to let the outside in, because the opening is a full 7 feet, almost twice the size of the others. It's the largest standard window in river cruising. Now, let's take a look at the bed of the average cabin. It faces the wall, not much to look at there. We had a much better idea. What if we angled the wall and turned the bed? That little change gives you the perfect perspective of the amazing views out your window. We then turned our attention to the balcony. Here's the average river cruise balcony. Seems like a nice idea, but as far as we can tell, there's not a lot of room for people to enjoy the views out there. And they had to take space from your stateroom to create that small deck space outside. So here's our better idea. Reclaim that space, push the window out, add a spacious dining and seating area for up to 6 adults, combine it with the largest sliding glass door in the business, and voila, you have an open-air balcony, the only one of its kind in river cruising, and you can enjoy it day and night, no matter the weather. Plus, you'll enjoy a lot more livable space, a full 200 square feet. We gave our room an attention to detail unmatched in the industry. We offer comfort collection beds, plenty of easily accessible storage, and we even added sound dampening insulation in our walls to make it less likely you'll hear your neighbors or they'll hear you. And we didn't stop with the room. We turned that same attention to detail to the bathroom. We took a look at the bathroom of the average ship and we knew we could do better. By angling the wall, we opened up more space in the bathroom. Then we took our newfound space and we made it luxurious. We have a large tile shower with glass doors, marble countertops, premium fixtures, L'Occitane bath amenities, and shelves to store all your necessities. And the best part is that there aren't just a couple of these staterooms on our ships, reserved for those who want to pay more. 80% of the staterooms on our suite ships are panorama suites. And once you leave your suite, you're likely to find fewer people on our suite ships. Because with our bigger staterooms, there is less capacity for passengers, which means more space everywhere you go. As you can see, more has gone into the amazing panorama suites, so you can get so much more out of them. We invite you to compare, and you'll see there's no comparison.
I love that little video because it really tells us the difference. Now, let's compare the Avalon suites to the typical, let's say, that big brand that everybody knows and you get brochures in your mail. So full 200 square feet on Avalon versus the standard cabin on the leading competitor is going to be 150 square feet if it's a French balcony, and 185 feet including the balcony if it's now they do have some larger suites that you will pay way more than you will pay for these wonderful Avalon panoramic open air balconies. And here's a picture that we took. This was when we were in Budapest a couple years ago. That's our cabin on the day we arrived. And I have to say, the number one input that I get from my clients about these Avalon suite ships is the room. They're like, oh, we love the room. It's just laid out so well. We know they have limited space on a river ship, and it is such a wonderful use of space. And that full-size bath is really a game changer. It is, in our opinion, one of the best bathrooms in all of cruising, river, ocean, anywhere. I think the bathroom is just perfectly laid out. There's plenty of room in there. Now, if you do need to be a little bit more on a budget, we do have the lower level fixed window cabins that Avalon has on their ships. The bathroom is a little bit smaller. The room is a teeny bit smaller at 172 square feet, but that's still bigger than the standard 150 square feet cabin with the French balcony on the leading competitor. So plenty of generous use of space. The other thing I love about this ship is that instead of having a private suite on the back of the ship, like some competitors do, they have this wonderful space that everyone can enjoy. You get these wonderful panoramic views out the back of the ship, and I don't have a good picture of looking out the back, but I can just tell you this, where this plant is and where these chairs are facing is all looking out the back. So sometimes as you're going down the river, the best views are behind you, and this is a great place to enjoy that. You can come here and play cards, bring a bottle of wine that you bought ashore back here, open it, share it with your friends. It makes for a wonderful experience. And by the way, no one's going to say anything to you if you bring your bottle of wine on board and drink it back there. It's not like an ocean cruise. This is the panorama lounge that's up front. This is where you have your nightly entertainment. This is where your cruise manager is going to do their presentations. And notice the floor-to-ceiling, wall-to-wall windows that you can see, look out and see everything. The other thing that's really nice is they actually have a gymnasium. It's very small, but they do have a gym with some cardio equipment and some free weights on board the ship. They also have snacks in the afternoon up in that panoramic lounge. And then this is a wonderful picture of a typical dining room. on an Avalon ship, lots of room, and the food is terrific. So we'll get to that in a little bit later. So another difference with Avalon, I talked a little bit about this earlier, is that they have 3 different types of excursions. Mostly on this cruise, they're going to have the classic and discovery, but they did have some active ones like the bicycle rides through the vineyards. And if you are an active person, they have an activities manager, like a fitness person on board the ship, and you can work with them to set up whatever kind of workout schedule you want. They are great about scheduling walks and ports and those kind of things that don't even show up on your itinerary. This is an example of some classic tours. So we did a classic tour of Budapest when we were there on our previous cruise, and that was included. Sometimes the discovery tours, now usually not on wine cruises, but sometimes the discovery tours have a little bit of an extra charge. We did some wine tasting in the countryside of Hungary on that cruise as well. That was a little bit of an extra charge, but well worth it. And this is the typical active excursion. We hiked up to the top of this castle in Dürnstein, Austria. Let's look at the food that they have. So Avalon has this program called Avalon Fresh, and it's all about bringing fresh, local, healthy ingredients on board. You have a couple different options for dining. The main dining room for dinner is going to have seating between like 7 and 8:30, but to tell you the truth, everybody goes down there at 7 and everybody's still eating at 8:30. So just go down there at 7. Or if you want to have a little less formal dining option or dinner option, you can do the Panorama Bistro. It is the same menu that's downstairs, but just smaller portions. So maybe if you want to try 3 different entrees, you can try the 3 different small portions of the different entrees. If we have a day with beautiful weather, they'll open up the alfresco sky deck, which is wonderful. And again, they have fresh local ingredients at every meal. This is kind of their logo for the Avalon Fresh. And I'll show you some of the things they had. Regional specialties, so that's important. I had a pumpkin strudel. We were in Vienna, so of course they had Wiener Schnitzel. And then in Hungary, we had cabbage rolls. This is just another example of how they bring the destination on board the ship. Our cruise went from Hungary to Bavaria. When we arrived in Bavaria, guess what we had? A true Bavarian lunch. It was delicious, just a wonderful way to experience your destination, both on board and ashore. If you like French food, I know we will have lots of wonderful French dishes to enjoy when we are sailing around in Bordeaux. They do have a complimentary happy hour, house beer, wine, and a drink of the day. It's usually 1 hour before dinner. So you get all your wine and beer included with your meals. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you can get a mimosa with breakfast if you want one. And then the happy hour. Now, drinks outside of that are at a charge. But like I said, nobody's going to say anything to you if you bring a bottle of wine on board and then fill up your glass in your room. Or maybe in that back lounge, and the drinks are reasonably priced once you're on board. So you're not going to have a big bar bill when you get off an Avalon ship. They don't even have a drinks package that you can purchase because it is so reasonable just to buy your drinks a la carte outside of those meal times. So again, here's a beautiful picture of that wonderful, kind of landmark place in downtown Bordeaux. Now let's talk about our prices. So we locked in a couple months ago this pricing that is the free upgrade to a suite. So this gets you the category B, A, and P panoramic balcony suites. The only one that's not included on this slide are those D&E, those lower levels, and I'd have to get you a price for those separately. But I wanted to compare our pricing with Avalon Direct price. Now, what this is going to show you is we've got free prepaid gratuities. That's not included in the Avalon Direct price. You're going to have the travel hosts, Steve and I, on board the ship with you. We'll probably have at least one private event where we go ashore, we buy some wine, and then we go back to the back lounge and everybody shares and tries, so just a fun time to try wines together. And it's still showing there is a limited allocation of single occupancy cabin pricing. So if you're a solo traveler but don't want to travel alone, travel with us. You can get a room to yourself, and we can have you go along with us, and you're not paying the full double occupancy price. Now, this is our pricing in these three categories compared to what Avalon is offering right now. I will put a little disclaimer. This Avalon price, which is about $3,098, so about $3,100 or more than our price, does include what's called free air. The free air is just basically an air allowance, and it is economy air, and you must arrive and depart on brochure dates. So if you want to have any kind of flexibility, come in early, stay late. And I can tell you, air in November to Bordeaux is probably not going to be anywhere near $1,500 a person. Plus, you get the flexibility of booking with our lower price and then using points, doing whatever you want to get your air. Our pricing is a much better deal. And it does come with the free prepaid gratuities. So keep that in mind. It really is a great deal to be part of our group. Just to kind of show you every place that Avalon goes, Bordeaux is just one of the places that they go, and I did not mean to change that slide. So there are, there are just so many places you can see in the world, including Galapagos, the Ganges River, the Peruvian Amazon, the Nile, and the Mekong with Avalon. So air through Avalon. So you can, if you book with our group pricing and you still want to book your air with Avalon, that still is an option. You're going to choose your routing and your carrier. And I tell you, you're probably going to come in under $1,500. And we're going to, Avalon is going to include transfers when you book their air, as long as you're coming in and departing on brochure dates. There's no real deviations you can do with Avalon Air, but we're getting a delivery at our house, so I'm just going to close the door. Maybe I won't be able to hear the dogs anymore. Hopefully that's not picking up on the microphone. But you can book it at about 11 months before the cruise, so we're inside that window. You put an extra deposit, and then you fully pay for the air with final payment. And I got to point this out about Avalon. Unlike the leading competitor that makes you pay a whole year in advance, Avalon, you pay your final payment at 90 days. So 90 days before your departure, that's when you take your money out of your wallet and put it in Avalon's, not a whole year in advance. So you get to earn your own interest on that money a lot longer with Avalon. We do other group cruises, so I just wanted to touch on those because river is not the only thing we do. We do have a couple of escorted river cruises coming up. We have one with another great river cruise supplier, Avalon Waterways, and that actually works back to back with this one. So if you want to go over to Europe, spend a week in Bordeaux and then a week in the Danube with a Arizona winemaker who is going to put on this fabulous wine program, we can make that happen. I mean, that's what we are doing. We're going to go over and do Bordeaux. We have about 4 days in between, so like 2 days Bordeaux, 2 days in Budapest, and then we're going to take the cruise from Budapest to Bucharest. And then if you want to do something maybe a little bit more of kind of what people think of as the river cruise, we're doing Amsterdam to Basel on the river. And then we have 4 days in Lucerne and Lake Como. And that's also with Avalon. So you're going to get the same panoramic suites that you saw in the videos today, all of the amenities that I talked about. We're doing a webinar on February 12th. We also have a recorded webinar. So, if you're interested in learning more about that, let me know. We have a fabulous cruise to Iceland in 2025, and I still have a small allocation of cabins at fantastic group rates that are way lower than what you can book with Celebrity Direct. So if Iceland is on your bucket list, give me a call. I can give you some quotes on that. We have a recorded webinar from February 6th on our YouTube page. Antarctica in 2 ways. So we've got great group pricing for a scenic sailing only. And what I mean by that is you're on a big ship. You can't disembark. You're going to sail through these beautiful glaciated areas in Antarctica. We've done that twice. I can't tell you how wonderful it is. We enjoyed every minute of it, but we enjoyed it so much we said, we got to get back here, come on an expedition ship and walk around Antarctica. So we are escorting a group in February of 26 to Antarctica. It's expedition style where you go ashore in Zodiac's 120 passenger ship. And I may still have one cabin available at group rate. They're just about ready to call them back. So if that's something you've always wanted to do, call me immediately. I will get you a quote on it and try to get that one cabin that I have at group rates, which are about $5,000 or $6,000 less than per person than booking with Aurora directly. In March of 26, we are doing another Caribbean wine lovers cruise. And this is with our good friend Eric Allen of Ascension Cellars. And he is bringing his award-winning wine from Paso Robles to the ship. And we'll have 4 private events just for our group with wine tasting of his wine. We even have a 4-course food and wine pairing luncheon. And again, I have that awesome group rate that's lower than what you can book with Celebrity Direct with drinks and Wi-Fi and a refundable deposit included. So be sure to check that out. We have a recorded webinar on that. And then on February 13th, we're going to do another webinar and it'll be posted on YouTube. So watch it either way. It's on the Scandinavian capitals with Holland America. We did this last year. A couple of the ports were different. We had such a good time. We knew we need to book a group on this and take a whole big group. So amazing locations up on the Baltic Sea and something that you will really enjoy if you join us. And if you want to do something completely different than a big ocean cruise, we've got 2 small ship ocean cruises, one with Windstar going to the Greek Isles. I am super excited about that. Windstar is the James Beard Award or James Beard official cruising partner. So the food is absolutely amazing on Windstar and the service, everything is just impeccable. And then Azamara, we just got back from South Africa with Azamara, had an amazing time. They are great with destination immersion. And we are doing these too. They marry up back to back. Spend 4 days in Athens, get off one ship, get on the other. Great way to spend your time in Europe. And you don't have the repeats. You're going to have different menus, different entertainment. So it's kind of a nice way to do back-to-back cruises. If you are interested in that Baltics cruise, this is Globus. So Globus is the tour brand that is, it's the tour brand that is it's the same company as Avalon. So Globus has been doing coach tours of Europe for, I think, almost 100 years now. And I have a client doing that Scandinavian capitals, and she also wanted to do Norway on land because her husband's family comes from there. So yes, one side of her husband's family comes from there. That's right. So she saw this tour. I took out a group on it. You fly from Amsterdam to Oslo to start this tour. You can do them as back to back. And again, I have great pricing on this Best of Norway tour, just like I do with the Avalon Waterways cruise. So here's the best part. If you book your next Avalon Waterways or even a Globus tour with us by February 26th, you're going to receive an additional $50 per person discount for any new booking. And it's a thank you for attending our virtual cruise night and giving us your time to come and learn about these wonderful cruises. So I am so excited about Bordeaux. Again, it's all about making that passionate connection between your wine experience and your destination. And it's something that you're going to be able to take with you, like I said, back to the States. And when you order that bottle of Bordeaux and it came from Saint Emilion, you're going to know exactly, what the terroir looks like, what the processes were, what the people of that area. So again, it's making that connection that's going to stay with you for a lifetime. So I hope you'll join us. I'd love it if anybody has any questions. I'm happy to answer.
Remember to unmute yourself.
Yeah, don't forget to unmute. I always like to say, Sandy has a question.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
This is Kathy. Yeah,
Hi, Kathy.
you used a term just now, the terroir. Could you talk about that?
So the terroir, yes, the terroir is the relationship between the plant and the earth and the sun and the climate.
Yes.
It's all those things that combine together to create wonderful grapes. And
Conditions, yeah.
even within the same vineyard, you can have different terroirs. Like you can have an area that gets more sun or less sun, and that's going to affect how the grapes grow and that in that area. So they might plant Cabernet Franc in one area, or they might plant Cabernet Sauvignon in another area, closer to the river, further from the river, up on the sun, because it's going to affect the way that the grapes grow and what is then produced in the fruit that's going to make the wine wonderful. And of course, Bordeaux has one of the best terroirs in the world. So that's why they're making such consistently very good wines.
Great. That was good to hear. And I'm fascinated.
Yeah, and this is going to be a great opportunity to learn more of those terms, learn more about how the region produces. On their wine-themed cruises, Avalon usually has somebody that's an expert that comes on board and might do a tasting experience with make it an educational experience where they're talking about different aspects of wine. In Bordeaux, if you come in a couple of days early or stay late, there are all kinds of tasting rooms with fabulous sommeliers that you can go in and you say, okay, I'm going to spend $100 on tasting. I want you to teach me all about this. And they are so generous and so happy to share their knowledge.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Other questions?
Yes. Any other questions?
If not, I'll stop the recording.